Ever wondered why hackers are obsessed with virtual machines? Prepare to get your mind blown. Now, before we get into the nitty-gritty, let's start with the basics. What's a virtual machine? Think of it as a computer within a computer. A digital Matryoshka doll, if you will. It's a software that emulates a computer system, complete with hardware, an operating system, and applications. But why are these digital doppelgangers such a big deal, you might ask? Well, for starters, virtual machines provide an extra layer of security. It's like having a body double that takes all the punches for you. If a hacker is poking around in a virtual machine and things go haywire, the real system remains untouched. It's like having Batman guard your computer. He's always ready to take a hit but stays hidden in the shadows. Virtual machines also allow hackers to test their exploits in a controlled environment. Remember when you were a kid and you'd build sandcastles only to destroy them and start over? That's pretty much what hackers do with virtual machines. They can mess around, break things, and then simply reset the machine to start over, all without causing any real-world damage. On top of that, virtual machines are incredibly versatile. They can run multiple operating systems simultaneously, mimicking different environments. It's like having a Swiss Army knife in your digital toolbox, ready to tackle any challenge. And the best part? Virtual machines are kind of like the superheroes of the hacker world. They do all the heavy lifting, but nobody knows they're there. It's like having Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman on your team, but they're all working undercover. So, now that you know why virtual machines are a big deal, let's dive into how you can get your hands on one. But before we do, I've got to tell you, they're a lot easier to find than a bat cave. Stay tuned. Downloading a virtual machine sounds like rocket science, right? Well, it's easier than making a cup of coffee. Let's imagine we're ordering a pizza online. You go to the website, choose your preferred pizza, maybe add a few extra toppings, and then click on that tempting Order Now button. Downloading a virtual machine is pretty much identical. First, you need to find a reliable source. Just like you wouldn't order a pizza from a sketchy website, you shouldn't download a virtual machine from an untrustworthy source. There are a bunch of reliable platforms out there. VirtualBox and VMware are the most popular ones, kinda like the Domino's and Pizza Hut of the virtual machine world. Once you've found your platform, it's time to choose your machine. This is where you decide what kind of pizza you want. Maybe you're a fan of the classic Windows, or perhaps you prefer something a bit spicier like Linux. The choice is yours. After you've made your selection, it's time to add your toppings, or in this case, configure your settings. You can decide how much memory and processing power you want to allocate to your virtual machine. Think of it like choosing how much cheese and how many pepperonis you want on your pizza. Finally, you hit that download button, just like you'd hit Order Now on a pizza website. Then, you sit back and relax while your virtual machine is delivered straight to your computer. No delivery driver necessary. But remember, just as you wouldn't leave your pizza out for too long, you should install your virtual machine as soon as it's downloaded. The longer you leave it, the more vulnerable it becomes to potential threats. So, there you have it. Ordering a pizza and downloading a virtual machine are not so different after all. And the best part, you don't have to tip the delivery guy. And voila! You've just downloaded your first virtual machine. Now let's move on to the fun part. Now that you've got your shiny new virtual machine, it's time to learn how to use it. Buckle up. Imagine getting your first bicycle. It's sleek, shiny, and you can't wait to take it for a spin. But you don't know how to ride it yet. That's exactly what using a virtual machine for the first time feels like. But don't worry, you'll be pedaling away in no time. First things first, you need to start the machine. This is like putting your helmet on. Safety first, right? Once the machine is running, you can start installing the operating system. It's like choosing the right gear for your bike ride. You wouldn't go mountain biking in flip-flops, would you? Now let's talk about navigating. You know when you're biking and you have to steer to avoid obstacles? It's the same with a virtual machine. You'll need to learn how to navigate through the system, switch between windows and operate the controls. Just remember, no shortcuts on this ride. Next up, we have running applications. This is where the fun begins. It's like finally pedaling and feeling the wind in your face. You can run any application you want, as long as it's compatible with the operating system. And last but not least, there's shutting down the machine. This is like getting off your bike after an exhilarating ride. It's important to shut down the virtual machine properly to avoid any damage. Think of it as carefully placing your bike back in the garage. Remember, just like learning to ride a bike, using a virtual machine takes practice. You might fall off a few times, but don't worry, we've all been there. Keep trying and soon you'll be whizzing around like a pro. Congratulations! You've just learned to ride your virtual machine. But wait, there's more. So you know how to use a virtual machine. But how does it help in hacking? Let's find out. Imagine, if you will, Batman and Robin. A dynamic duo, right? Well, in the world of hacking, we have our own dynamic duo. Virtual machines and hacking. They're like the Batman and Robin of the digital realm, dashing through the darkness of cyberspace, bringing justice or chaos, depending on who's at the helm. So, how do these two work together? Well, let's start with Batman, our virtual machine. Just like the Caped Crusader, virtual machines have some cool tricks up their sleeves. They can disguise themselves, change their identities, and even mimic the environment of their enemies. In hacking, this is essential for practicing and testing without leaving a trace, or for creating a controlled environment to study malware. Now, on to Robin, our hacking. Just like the boy wonder, hacking is all about agility and adaptability. Virtual machines provide a safe playground for hackers to experiment, learn, and perfect their skills. They can test out different attack strategies, understand how systems respond, and learn how to evade detection. And just like Batman and Robin, they're stronger together. Virtual machines give hackers the freedom to try out new things without the fear of getting caught or damaging their own systems. They can mimic any system, create complex scenarios, and learn from their mistakes. It's like having a personal sparring partner that's always ready for a round. But remember, with great power comes great responsibility. Just like Batman uses his powers for good, so should you. Use virtual machines for learning, for enhancing your skills, for ethical hacking. Because in the end, it's not the tools that define us, but how we use them. So that's how our dynamic duo, virtual machines and hacking, work together. Time to wrap things up. Alright folks, let's take a trip down memory lane and revisit what we've learned today. We started our journey with the big question. What's the big deal with virtual machines and hacking? Remember the analogy of the chameleon able to change its colors and blend in anywhere? That's your virtual machine in the world of hacking, a master of disguise. It's like a spy on a mission, infiltrating enemy lines without leaving a trace. But instead of a tuxedo and a shaken not stirred martini, our spy is equipped with binary codes and firewalls. Then, we moved on to the no sweat section. And you know what? It really was no sweat. We learned how to download and use virtual machines, making it as easy as pie. Or should I say, as easy as downloading your favorite cat video. Remember folks, it's all about clicking the right buttons, and voila! You've got yourself a virtual machine. It was showtime next, where we took a deep dive into the world of virtual machines. We surfed the waves of binary codes, danced with firewalls, and even had a tete-a-tete with some pretty complex algorithms. It was like diving into a pool filled with ones and zeros and coming out dry on the other side. And who can forget the dynamic duo? That's right, we talked about the powerful combination of virtual machines and hacking. Together they're like Batman and Robin, Sherlock and Watson, or peanut butter and jelly. They just work so well together. It's like using a Swiss Army knife in a world made of cardboard. You're prepared for anything and everything. And here we are at the end of our journey. We've laughed, we've learned, and most importantly, we've hacked. So what's next? Well, that's up to you. Remember, with great power comes great responsibility. Use your newfound knowledge wisely. And that's a wrap. Now go forth and conquer the world of virtual machines. Until next time, keep hacking. Keep